So I'd like to call to order the August 5th, 2025 meeting of the Wenham Select Board. The first item on our agenda, as per usual, is public input. This is for any members of the public who wish to speak for up to 2 minutes on a topic that isn't otherwise on the agenda tonight. 10 minutes will be the cap for overall public input, if there is that much public input. Do we have anybody, Joe, who has raised their hand virtually to speak?
Yes, we do, Mr. Chairman. Peggy and Paul, there's no last name.
Okay, if the individuals under Peggy and Paul in the Zoom could please state their full name or names and address for the record, and then we'd be interested to hear your public comment tonight.
Thank you. It's Peggy Rell and Paul Terrio. We live at 12 Spring Hill Farm Road. And we are just following up, and I think you got the email from Andrew Goodman a little while ago. We had sent an email last Friday morning when we saw the agenda because we were expecting the authorization for you or whoever has to sign the taking documents so that everything can get filed with Essex Deeds to be on tonight's agenda, and it's not. Just we're curious why. And we didn't get a response back from the town staff yesterday or today. So that's why we reached out to you at 5:30. I think Andrew wrote to you at 5 o'clock or something.
Okay. I did see that an email had come in to me from Andrew at 5:30. I didn't have a chance to read it in preparation for this meeting and wrapping up some other things. So I typically public comment is not really an opportunity for back and forth from the boards, but I think in this particular case, I would make an exception only to the extent that Steve or Joe, if you have any information responsive to Peggy or Paul's request, then feel free, and if you don't, then we'll just have to defer it to our next meeting.
Yeah, no, there's nothing. I guess since there's nothing wrong, that's the reason why it was not on the agenda. I was simply on vacation last week, still catching up with emails. I actually didn't see Andrew's email come in at 5:30, so I apologize for that. But, prior to leaving, I was unable to review the documents and place them on the agenda. So that's the reason why they're not on.
Okay,
So can we assume they'll be on the next meeting's agenda?
That is my plan, yes.
Okay, thank you. Perfect.
Thanks, guys. That's all. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Joe, any other public comment?
No, there is no. That was the last one. Yep.
Okay, thank you. All right, that moves us on to reports and announcements, beginning with the town administrator's update and town announcements.
Ben, can you just do the roll call before?
Oh, thank you, Deirdre. Yes. So if everyone could just say whether they're present here this evening. We have all 5 members, starting with Deirdre Parati.
Present.
Gary Cheeseman.
Present.
Karen Anger.
Present.
Peter Clay.
Present.
And Ben Timon's present. All right, that moves us on to the town administrator's update, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just 1 second. So a couple brief updates tonight. First one being everyone, is probably seeing the construction going on. Again, it's the HVAC project, which is going very well. Things seem to be progressing as expected and on schedule. Right now, they've completed drilling the wells and are now piping the connections from the geothermal or the water wells into the building so they can connect it to the new, I believe it's ground source heat pumps, where it will exchange either the heat or the cooling from the consistent temperature ground sourced water. Additionally, we have the last week, the DPW has put up 12 gateway signs into the town notifying all commuters or passersby that the town is now 25 miles per hour or unless otherwise posted. So again, we have 12 of those up when you drive into town, across the border into Wenham. Those are there to alert drivers. We have 2 more to go, which we had to reorder some signs. We're thinking there was only 12 entries into Wenham. However, there's actually 14. So we expect those later this week. And in the meantime, the DPW is going around and taking down all the 30 and 35 mile an hour signage through town. And then we'll start putting up systematically in key locations additional 25 mile an hour signs throughout the town where we believe they're needed, and we'll continue to add more as if hotspots pop up with significant speeding. And then just a quick personnel update. As you know, we've been a couple of recent resignations for both our permitting coordinator and our assessing assistant. So both those recruitment processes are underway. We've selected a finalist, Margaret Baldwin, for the permitting coordinator. An offer has been extended and accepted by her, and I believe she will be starting here in Town Hall on Monday. Hopefully we can maybe get her in front of the board at some point once she starts. And we're getting close to final interviews for the assessing assistant job. And we have about 5 well-qualified candidates that we're currently reviewing and interviewing. And that is all I have for updates tonight.
Thank you. My only 2 comments, actually, Steve, are in follow-up to 2 of your comments. I was curious whether there's any status yet on the Council on Aging part-time position, or if that's too early.
Oh, my bad. I omitted that. We have posted that as well and have a handful of applicants. However, we have not started the interview process. Joe, do you have any further? Joe's been running with that. Any further update on that beyond?
No, that's correct. We have about 5 or 6 candidates so far. I'm working with Jim Reynolds and Jeannie Miranda at the COA just to feel through the candidates and set up interviews I expect the next week or 2. So
Great, thank you. And my second comment pertains to the 25 mile an hour change, which I think, people in town, because those signs have gone up so promptly and widespread, are obviously noticing. I think that it would be useful to the board and the town if the police department maintained some sort of set of metrics around this change, whether it's number of tickets written or some other sets of metrics that might help us assess a year or 2 from now the effectiveness of this change, because it's a pretty drastic change. It's a low speed limit for many people, which some might say that that's part of the problem, but I think it will be a fairly significant adjustment, and so it would be good to have not just sort of anecdotal information a year or 2 from now as we're looking at it, but some sort of metrics. And I imagine the chief already has that in mind, but I just wanted to mention that, and maybe we can even set that up for some future agenda item to refine what those metrics might look like in consultation with the chief.
That sounds good to me. I'll make sure I'll connect with the chief and get something.
Thank you. That was all I had. So any other select board members who wish to comment, and we'll start with the vice chair, Gary Cheeseman.
Yes, just one point that I've seen some internal correspondence, but a reminder out to all the boards, committees, and commissions that as we enter the new fiscal year here, we need to comply with the new bylaw 5-37, where they need to appoint or elect committee officials and to report those results to the town clerk. That's all I got.
Thank you very much. Deirdre, anything?
I do not. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter. Peter, any comments?
No.
Okay, Karen?
Yeah, I had two quick questions actually for Steve. Is there a way I've been in communication with some of the folks regarding two police incidents, two separate incidents, I believe both are the last two Friday nights where the town has received no information. And there is a extreme concern that there's a lack of communication, and it sounds like Ben is also hitting on a little bit of lack of communication from the police coming from that office in providing the citizens a little bit more information on what happened Friday night, and if we could potentially debrief on how we can better keep everybody informed and keep everybody updated on any type of emergency situation. If you could let everybody know here what happened, that would be great.
I do not have that information. My apologies.
Okay. I have received a few different complaints regarding citizens being truly scared in their home on Friday night. And I believe that it's in our best interest to not only have the police be able to present that, but going forward, it would be great to review the best practices on how we alert citizens on any type of emergency situation and what the best process is. I believe a few of them went onto the website. It was really confusing to them. It was 11 o'clock at night, so they weren't entirely sure who to call. If we can have him at the next meeting, that would be great in order to be able to answer some questions. I know that there's going to be a few folks that would like to be able to address that in person.
Okay.
Thank you. Anything else, Karen?
Nope.
I just want to clarify, given that Karen referenced my comments, I was not at all suggesting any breakdown in communications from the police department with respect to the speed limit. I support the change. I think that the chief explained it well. I'm just merely, thinking ahead that we ought to work with him for metrics. I'm not placing any kind of criticism at all on that issue. I'm just making a suggestion for how we might assess that change going forward. All right, that leads us to our consent agenda. We have two sets of minutes, an open session set from April 1st to 2025 and an executive session set from July 10th of 2025. We have the appointment of 4 provisional call firefighters, and we have the appointment of 24 election worker appointments. Does any member of the board wish to hold any of those items before we proceed to a potential consent agenda vote? Okay, seeing none, I would entertain a motion to approve these routine items for approval in a single motion, allowing them to be passed without discussion this time.
Sure. Gary, did you want?
Yeah. Yeah, I'll make the motion to accept the consent agenda as published in the 5 August agenda.
Peter Clay seconds.
Just one amendment.
Yeah,
I believe.
there's 2 notes.
Right. Gary, do you want to amend your motion to account for the term for the item B appointments running from August 5th, 2025 through June 30th, 2026?
Yes, and I'll make the amendment to include the adjustment in the appointment dates as published.
Great. All right, and we have a second, so we'll take a roll call vote. Karen,
Yes.
Gary,
Yes.
Peter,
Yes.
Deirdre,
Yes,
and Ben is yes. That's unanimous. That brings us to new business. The purpose of the new business agenda category is to allow, in addition to board comments, public comment, if requested, on individual items, not to exceed 2 minutes. Item D is discussion and potential vote to approve the extension of the lease agreement for the Bucher School located at 1 School Street, Wenham, between the town of Wenham as lessor and the Hamilton Wenham Regional School District as lessee for a term of 10 years. Steve, did you want to make any comments on that to get us started?
Um, no, I don't have a lot of comments. I know, Joe, if you're available, to kick this one off, I know he walked it through, but my understanding is that, this is a routine lease extension that the select board has the authority to act on. And Eric Tracy is here, to address the select board as well.
That's correct. It recently expired, I believe, on June 30th. Superintendent is here though, if Mr. Chairman, if you'd like me to promote him.
Yes, certainly. Thanks.
Hi, Eric. Good evening. Feel free to speak whenever you'd like.
Good evening.
Uh,
Thank you.
Eric, before you, excuse me, before you begin, we had a select board member's hand up. Karen, did you want to say something before the presentation or?
No, I would love to have Eric speak, and then I just have a couple quick questions.
Okay, all right. Eric, welcome and thank you for taking the time, and please proceed.
Thank you. First of all, thanks for Joe for getting this moving. I think in the focus of all the new building stuff that was going on, we realized that the lease was about to expire. So we had reached out to both towns to request lease extensions on the buildings. The current leases allow an extension by the select board for up to 10 years. And as you know, no matter what happens with the new school or without a new school, the Bucher is still in play in the town of Wenham, and we would appreciate the opportunity to continue the relationship we have with the town and with the people who reside around the Bucher school community.
Thank you very much. Other members of the board who have questions? If so, if you could raise your virtual hand, that's the best way for me to ensure that no one is left out. And Karen, I see your hand up, so please go ahead.
Yeah, I just had a really quick question. Why would we limit it to 10 years? And if we increase the lease for an additional amount of time, does that make us eligible for any type of additional state assistance?
I don't have the answer to that question on Eric or Joe.
Can I answer that one?
Yeah, if you have it, definitely.
Yeah, sure. Any opportunity we would have for state assistance could be revisited at any time, similarly to what happened with the Cutler School and the need for 50 years. That had to go through a process because select boards only allowed, I guess, to extend for 30. So just having to go back through the process, the way the lease, the original lease is written, it can be revisited at any time at the request of any parties. The original lease, I believe, was 20 years. And then from that point on, it's up to the select board how much of a time span it is. I think in how it's worked in previous years, it's never been more than 20. And I know it can't exceed 30 under the select board's jurisdiction, but I think 10 years is appropriate for right now. And as we move forward with the current possibility of a new building, combining some of our schools, it gives us the opportunity to put things in play and also work on some of the future needs of the Bucher building. The one of the bigger things we're looking at is that building's going to need a roof soon. And then, there's some opportunity for conversion. Vicky Masoni's been working with us on electric conversion of things like water heaters and boilers within the schools. So there's an opportunity there to do an upgrade with that through one of her grants that she writes for in a coordinated effort with the town. So I think the 10-year is okay. We just executed a 10-year of the others with the towns, and then when we changed it at town meeting, we just went in and rewrote the lease. The Cutler site is leased for 50 years, and the Winthrop site is only leased for 5 years through Hamilton. So I think 10 years is reasonable, and it gives time to make any adjustments in the building or to have discussion about future use, and still gives the town the flexibility to make a shift if they feel like they need to.
Thank you very much. Are there any other questions from the board? Seeing none, we'll open it up to the public. I don't see any virtual hands amongst the 9 attendees on the public side.
That's
Steve
correct.
or staff, any questions for Eric? Don't see any. All right, well, Eric, thank you very much. I think we're going to entertain a motion on this. So if any board member wishes to make it, we can proceed.
Sure, I'll go ahead. I move to approve the extension of the lease agreement for the Bucher School located at 1 School Street, Wenham, Mass. 01984, between the town of Wenham, the lessor, and the Hamilton Wenham Regional School District, the lessee, for a term of 10 years.
Gary seconds.
Great, we have a motion and a second. We'll take a roll call vote, starting with Peter,
Yes.
Karen,
Yes.
Deirdre,
Yes.
Gary,
Yes.
and Ben is yes. It passes unanimously. Eric, thanks again. Nice to see you.
Thank you all. I'll have it on the August 21st school committee agenda for their subsequent approval.
Great.
Thanks,
Have a
Eric.
great
All
night.
right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. That moves us on to item E, which is a presentation, excuse me, a presentation by Kate Mallory, as well as John Demotica from Select Company, regarding proposed ground-mounted solar panel project at the Iron Rail property at 91 Grapevine Road. Kate, would you like to begin?
Yes, thank you, Select Board members, for having me. Can everybody see my screen, the presentation?
Yes, I can.
Wonderful, thank you. John, I actually asked him not to come tonight. I thought it would be best to present this to you first, and then we can bring him in at a later date if we decide to proceed.
Great.
So basically, this is a proposal for the iron rail for ground-mounted solar panels. And so just so we can all really tell what we're looking at here, we all know that we just did an iron rail highest and best use study. And the area that I'm talking about is Site 1. So these are the existing conditions now. Right here is the softball field. We have DPW right over here. We've got the iron rail building, the Boy Scout barn, the parking. And most importantly, we have this leaching field right here for the whole area. So right here is this area that I'll be talking about today. This area has a lot of regulatory constraints. And so if you see where the star is, this is where the ball field is. This is DPW down here. This area right here are all wetlands. The striped area in blue are the wetland buffer. This is a perennial stream up here, and with that comes this 200-foot setback. So this area right here is pretty constrained for development. Let me see if I can move this out of the way a little bit. Okay, so in the study, it says for Site 1, which is what we're talking about, there's 4.1 acres that are actually developable, and that's including DPW. So again, I'm talking about this area up here. The study does say that this is a good idea. So it's a significant cost saver by lowering utility bills for the town and helpful alternatives to raising taxes. So it was recommended in the study. I just want to make sure that we all understand that this area, any of the scenarios that you pick, whether it is keeping iron rail the same or any sort of development, this area is not included. So the ball field on option 1 is over here. This is just a regular single family development. Option 2A is over here. Option 2B is up here. Again, not developed. 2C, I don't want to be repetitive, but I just want to make sure that everyone sees every single scenario that this was not a developable area. And that is important because I'll be asking you to give me advice on an iron rail project before we actually go through the actual feasibility study with deciding what to do with iron rail. There was one option that did use the ball field a little bit. This option right here was getting rid of DPW altogether and moving DPW over to Site 3. which is closer to the cemetery. This option, I did look through it. It doesn't say what this building is, but my assumption is this building, if it was necessary in their calculations for the financial piece of this, could go somewhere else. It's part of the recreation commercial aspect of this. So this was just kind of a feasibility drawing. This is probably like a little bit of a developable land, but I'm sure it can be moved around. So there are two major considerations that I feel are very important to discuss, and one is DPW. I did speak to the DPW director, and his feelings are that as the town moves forward, so will the needs of the DPW to expand. I want to make sure that we're not blocking that in any way. And so the scenario that Dobson and Flinker came up with in the study was we could expand the main building by 1.5 times larger going forward. So there's this big area that's kind of empty space now right off the road. So there can be an expansion there, and the storage shed can be larger as well. So there is room on this parcel to expand DPW and upgrade it if necessary and still keep this solar array back here. There's no way to develop coming in this way because over here are the area's leaching fields. Consideration number 2, which I think is incredibly important, is ensuring that we support the Little League softball team. So that field is used by the Little League softball team. I was able to speak to Tim Fazio. He is the vice president of the Little League. He also was president of the Little League for the past 3 years. And I explained to him a little bit about this project. We did talk back and forth about different scenarios. He said that it is their lowest use field, but that doesn't mean it's not used. Sean Timmons told me that they can use it about 3 to 5 times per week during the spring. And in the summer, they can use it as well. It varies because it's kind of their overflow field. What it does is it provides flexibility. So when there's over enrollment, it's wonderful because they have this extra field. So he did tell me that it's an important field. We actually did talk about if there's alternatives. I think it's very important to, before we make any decisions, to make sure he's going to bring it to the board of directors for the Little League and see how everybody else feels about it, and to keep in constant communication with them to make sure that this group, this very important group in town, is part of this process if it moves forward and taken care of properly. Right, next. All right, let's get on to the fun stuff. So with this, we can look at the magic number right here. $932,000 savings for the next 25 years. So there are different scenarios. This is called the credit offtake purchase. There's also a credit offtake discount. That one you come out with $800,000 of savings over 25 years, but you get more money at the beginning and then it kind of tapers off. This one, you get less total savings at the beginning, and then you get more as time goes on. Our representative from Select did mention there's different ways to do these, but the savings should be around $800,000 to $950,000 for the next 25 years. So some of the advantages, the town has pledged to be net zero by 2040. The state has mandated it by 2050. And so Wenham's current municipal electric load is 540,000 kilowatts per year, kilowatt hours per year, sorry. And this system will offset 338,000 kilowatt hours per year. So this one system can offset 63% of our municipal load in Wenham. It will also give fixed energy costs for that system. So we get fixed energy costs for 25 years. As we know, this is a huge advantage during the next 25 years where we don't know where prices will land with energy costs. And the only cost to the town is the cost of staff time and KP Law's time, because we want to ensure that we have a very strong contract and lease in place if this goes through. So I mentioned, I believe you are thinking about taking up the Iron Rail discussions in September, October, whenever you decide to do that. Why do this now? So why am I bringing it to you now before we're really getting into iron rail? And the reason is first of all, there's a lot to do. There's a lot of background things that have to happen, permitting, working through different contracts that would need to be done. There's new federal guidelines under the big, beautiful bill that was passed that are ending the federal 30% subsidy on contracts not signed by December 31st, 2025. And so basically, there are a lot of volatility right now in the solar world. Some companies are saying, oh, geez, contracts even need to be signed by, I think it's August 17th, because that's when the US Department of Treasury is going to make their guidelines for the executive order from our president. And so this is basically the best case scenario if we can get in now, because we can get the federal 30% off credit offset. And then also the state created a program when they saw that the federal credits were going to be terminated. The state started a program called Smart 3.0, and they also have a lot of credits in here. So that's why this has actually gone up. The last time I was talking about the solar project, it was about $100,000 of savings over 25 years. Because we can combine these credit options, that's how it went up to $900,000. So, I mean, it's a fantastic time if we can get it all done in time, and that's why time is of the essence. So basically that's it. I look forward to hearing your thoughts. And I would like some guidance on next steps forward. If you would like me to continue this, if we want to really start working through this, or if this is something that we feel like we should put on pause and, try to do it at a later date, once we know more of what's going on with Iron Rail. Well, thank you.
Great. Thank you very much, Kate. And Peter, I see your hand up.
Kate, so you know about the solar project at the high school?
Yes, I do. Wonderful project.
It's over parking lots.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Have you looked at that solution? It's a pretty good sized parking.
Yes. So we actually looked at the solution for this site as well, because the parking lot's in the back of the Iron Rail building, right? And so
Right.
that would be a perfect place because you wouldn't be able to see it from the street. There were two reasons. One was that financially, Select told us the numbers don't work. So the area that they have there, it's not big enough to offset the cost. So he said that doesn't work. And number two, just with us not knowing what's going to happen with Iron Rail, that is developable land if you guys decide to develop it. So the area that we picked was the best area, was an area that really isn't developable.
Okay, thank you.
Deirdre?
Yeah, thank you, Kate, for a wonderful presentation as always. I'll just say I can't support this strongly enough. I think this has been a great idea from the beginning. It's been sort of percolating for some time now. It's thrilling to see this coming to fruition. And I would urge everyone to support this. I think this is a critical moment in time to get as far, as fast as we can with these types of projects before the subsidies dry up and disappear, and move the town along towards our goal of net zero. Just, pedal to the metal, literally. And I hope that we can accommodate the youth softball, and I appreciate your efforts in doing that. But I have to say very strongly, I hope that this is full steam ahead.
Thank you very much. I thought I may have seen your virtual hand up. Karen, am I wrong about that? If so, please go ahead, since I think you were next.
Yeah, I just want to echo Deirdre's statements. I think this is an absolutely amazing project. Kate, you've done a phenomenal job. I will throw out, there is a little bit of gender disparity as far as softball fields go. The softball field in question is the only softball fields that kindergarten through third grade is able to play at. We, as a town, focus mainly on boys' sports as far as fields go. And unfortunately, the girls were thrown behind on Iron Rail, and there is no additional field for them to practice on. So the one, if we were to remove this, which is fine, as long as we're able to replace it, the one in question that they're talking about is truly making one on a grass somewhere else. So as far as being able to support our girls in town and support the softball, that is something that is quite essential, that we will have to figure out a new situation there.
Yeah, and I think my thoughts in speaking with Tim as well is we want to make sure that we're very cognizant of that and make sure that we can accommodate the girls. It's very important. So thank you.
Thank you, Gary.
Yes, strong support as well here. I think we need to realize that DPW, as it needs to transition to electrical fleet mandated by the state, is going to have an even higher draw on the electricity. So this is the perfect location, as far as I can see, right adjacent to DPW. And as I said, we can find alternatives for softball either at the new high school athletic complex or at Bucher or otherwise. But I think knowing that the timeline is tight on this, that we ought to make a decision here to move forward.
Thank you. I've seen a virtual hand sort of go up and down on the attendee side. I'm not sure whether anyone in the public wishes to speak. I don't see the hand up now, but if anyone
Yeah,
does wish to speak, please. Yeah.
Yeah, Trudy Reed had her hand up, Mr. Chairman. I don't know
Okay.
who wants to speak though. Yes, she does.
Yes. Good. If you could promote Trudy to a panelist, please.
Sure.
Am I on?
You are.
I'm
Trudy, if you could
sorry.
state-
I didn't
Okay.
want to comment on this. I'm waiting for the next agenda item, but
Okay.
sorry.
Oh, no problem. So, all right. Are there any, I see Sue Petrolia's hand up. Sue, if you're wishing to speak on this topic, then please do that. We'll just need to transfer you as a panelist, I think. Okay. Sue, hello. If you could please state your full name and address for the minutes.
Hi, can you hear me?
We can now, yes.
Sorry, unfortunately my camera's not working. Sue Petrolia, 6 Eaton Road, Wenham, Massachusetts. And I'm speaking sort of on behalf of Hamilton Wenham Climate Action in full and enormous support for this project and with the alacrity to move it forward as soon as we can. As with the school buses, the electric school buses, we're all kind of under the gun to get stuff done and get the benefits we can out of going forward with solar. So I'm thrilled to see Kate's great presentation and your support. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, Joe, correct me if I'm wrong, but I see no other people wishing to speak on this subject.
Great. Yeah.
So I'd entertain a motion under item D. I'm sorry. No, my bad. There's no motion to be had on this one. I don't believe anyway. Steve, or Kate, do you need some kind of select board action or?
No vote. Really, just as Kate mentioned, it's this has come before the select board before this whole started the exploration of the solar behind the DPW started even before the iron rail study. So the select board it's probably having deja vu a little bit, but they have seen it before, but not to this level of detail that Kate presented. And really, what we wanted to bring before you tonight was just to see if that you did have some sense of urgency with this project, and it seems like you do, so that we could direct the staff resources to start moving it forward and make sure all the procurement laws are met and things like that. So I think we hear you loud and clear that there is overwhelming support for a project like this, and we'll move it forward and bring it back to you for votes and actions of that nature.
Great. All right, thank you very much. That moves us on to agenda item F, discussion and potential vote to approve a draft letter to Representative Sally Cairns endorsing House Bill 2274, which permits remote participation in town meetings.
Hey, Ben,
Yes,
since I'm the one pushing this,
yes.
I've since realized that I did not talk to a couple of key people. So I'd like to um defer the discussion tonight so that I have a chance to go talk to a couple of key people like Roger and Diane.
Okay. Um,
They're
yeah,
both on the call tonight, Mr. Chair.
Sorry?
right.
I said, yeah, sorry. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Bill.
No, I see that, but given that Peter is the person who requested this be put on the agenda, and he's requesting in his, you know, wisdom to wait, I'm fine with that, and I'm fine with deferring this agenda item until the next board meeting. If any board members have a strong objection to not discussing this tonight and to moving forward with it, please say so, but otherwise, I would exercise my discretion to defer based on Peter's recommendation.
The only thing I would say is I believe that there's some people that actually dialed in to discuss this. Did you want to open a comment up for them to just be allowed to have that?
No, I understand that, and have taken that into account in what I said. I think that if it's not ready to discuss affirmatively, in terms of presenting the basic information that Peter was going to present, then I think it's more efficient if we do all of that at once rather than have people comment on something. But that's my view. If a majority of board members feel strongly that we should move forward, then we can. But otherwise, I would say that we should defer.
And obviously I agree with you.
Okay, thank you.
Well, I guess I'm just wondering if Diane and Roger are here, I mean, is that we can't have the conversation all together while we're in public space?
Gary, what do you think? I just
So I think the certainly a proponent for expansion of the enfranchisement, but I would like to see some of the details here because certainly this is probably going to have a significant infrastructure cost to the town too, as far as our media setup and so forth. So perhaps we need to do a little bit more homework here first.
All right, with that, I'm going to move on to the next agenda item. Apologies to those who showed up for this particular item, but I think, in my view anyway, it'd be more efficient to wait until everything can be discussed comprehensively at the same time. That moves us to old business, item G, discussion and potential vote on final disposal options for 24 Cherry Street. Steve, did you want to take the lead on that?
Sure. So we received a letter from the Commonwealth, I believe it's in the packet and the select board has read it. So I did relay back, the concerns that the board has, well, not concerns, but the questions whether the state and their willingness to entertain an affordability component and or coupled with a historic preservation component that would allow us to access additional funds if they were available to help preserve the original structure. And so, that letter I think laid it out pretty well. They seemed open to both those scenarios and willingness to work with the town. I think from their standpoint, they're suggesting that the town go with an RFP approach where they take really, we're talking about the four approaches, and everyone refers it as one of the first two. So it's either auction or RFP, where the state controls the entire process, but allows the town to give contributions into the drafting of the RFP. The other piece of information was, the board tasked me to reach out to the historic commission or really anybody to see if they had any information as to how much of the structure needs to be maintained to maintain to maintain its position on the historic register and eligibility to be on the federal register. And unfortunately, we were unable to pin anybody down over the last 2 weeks. A number of emails were sent. I did receive one call, I believe it was early Monday morning, from a representative of historic district. However, I've called back a couple times and have been unable to reach anybody. So I do not, unfortunately, have an update on the answer to that question.
Thank you, Steve. Could you just highlight the portion of the letter that from DCAM that makes reference to the historic preservation piece?
Yep.
Because I think that's information that may be interesting to Tom Starr and some others who are.
Michelle, if you could scroll up, it must be on the first page. Oh, it's on the first page, last paragraph on the first page into the first couple lines on the second page.
Can you enlarge that a bit, please? Thank you.
So I'm able to read it. If I don't know if everyone online can read it, but it says DCAM is aware of the interest expressed specifically regarding historic preservation of the building. DCAM will coordinate closely with the town on actions associated with historic preservation and will consult with the Massachusetts Historical Commission in advance of any disposition, solicitation, RFP, to establish the most appropriate way to address the historic status of the property. Further, any RFP will clearly identify the historic designation or designations applied to the property and encourage responses that will respect those designations and result in site designs that preserve historic resources and complement the architectural character of the historic property to the extent feasible. So it's certainly not an ironclad statement from DCAM, but I, for one, was pleased that they did include that and did recognize that it's something that the town had flagged based on the fact that 24 Cherry Street is on a state register of historic places, which some people may find difficult to believe given its condition, but it's the case, and there's a historic pedigree there. And it's also eligible, as is the Cedar Street, Cherry Street neighborhood, eligible for potential placement on the National Registry of Historic Places. So I was glad to see that, and want to extend thanks again, as we did last time, to Tom Starr, who I see has his hand up, for flagging this issue. Before we recognize Tom to speak, are there any board members who wish to comment or ask questions about where we are? And I see Gary, your hand up, so please go ahead.
Yeah, so on this property, I think the facade is of importance, preservation, but the fact is, if you do a close-up look at the building, if you go by there, that it is well beyond what I expect is repairable or usable state. There's clear insect infestation. You can see on the back woodpecker holes that are 2 or 3 feet deep into a corner post and so forth. So I think, for the public at large, our expectation here is to have an architectural design that perhaps mimics the front as it is now, but I don't think there can be much expectation as to being able to salvage the building as it is right now.
Okay, thank you. I don't see any other hands up among board members or staff, so Tom Starr, you'd be next.
All right, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, great. Yeah, and thanks for the opportunity. And I do welcome this letter. It does sound pretty positive, although obviously I think you put it best, Ben, that's not ironclad in any way about, whether it could be, or whether it would be, what should I say, no guarantee, right, of any outcome. And I think Gary's point is well taken, but I do think that you really need an expert opinion of someone to come and assess it. It's probably a question of money, but I think it's really like with most historic structures, it's mostly about the appearance on the from the street, not about interior things or structural things, to try to maintain that historic streetscape, and especially because there's a house next to it that's built with in the same style. So anyway, I think we shouldn't dismiss it. And I mentioned to Ben in a meeting that there is a historic house in Danvers, the Ingersoll Tavern, that was abandoned for about 10 years and was recently inspected and found to be in better shape than it appeared from the outside. So I think there's hope that it could be salvaged. And then that's my statement there. And I think, of course, if it's on the historic district commission already recognized it, and it's on the state register, there's clearly value to it, and I'd hate to see it lost. If it's at all possible to save it. So, but my real question is, of the options, I wasn't clear, like if the state retains the property and consults with the town, they're in control, right? And then I think, Steve, you mentioned there's another option where the property could be transferred to the town and the town would be in control. Right? Is that right? I mean, you still have to do RFPs and things like that, but since this letter is pretty vague, I'm not so sure it would be in our best interest to let the state, the same state that's neglected the property for all these years, to be controlling the process. But I don't know how you all feel about that.
Any other comments by board members? So I think that, there is this critical question, obviously, that's been before us for a little while as to which path to go down. And, there are more than two paths, but they fall into two categories of state control at one level or another versus local control. And the financial benefits rise to the town with the options that involve less state involvement and less state control. I don't know whether, as a board, whether we're ready to adopt DCAM's recommendation to allow them to drive the process under the housing statute that they reference. And Steve, I'd also be curious as to whether, based on your sense of how much pressure we may be under with DCAM, whether when they say at the end of the letter, we'll be in touch with Steve to discuss the next steps, whether that, in your view, is giving us a little bit more time to defer a final decision on which avenue we want to take, or
yeah, based on my conversations with DCAM, they are, there's some sense of urgency to get this project moving. But they always preface that with saying, they want to work with the town, and, they want to be a good partner with the town. But they do seem to be, with each passing call, a little more anxious to get this moving. So, nothing's been said, as black and white, but I think that's generally been my sense. And I think, ultimately kind of resulted in this letter as, kind of urging the town to make a decision and move forward and just let them do the process, because it's the most expeditious. They have the most experience, and get this property remedied and redeveloped.
Yeah. Deirdre?
Yes, so just as a reminder, at the last meeting, we did commit to making a decision this time. So I'm sort of loath to put the state off any further, because we've been after them for a long time to move this along, but now we're sort of the ones dragging our feet a bit. So I would like to see this move forward. We also did have this discussion at the last meeting, and it seemed to me that we had agreement to move forward with the state taking the lead on this, with expressing our first preference to keep it affordable housing, with the addition of the question of keeping it with, in line with the historic district, which came up at the last meeting. To me, this letter seems completely responsive to all of those things that we raised. And, I think it's time to move forward.
Okay, thank you. Any other board comments? Gary?
Yes, I would like to see this to move forward too, because as we know, there's been years on getting this to this point. We've had Sally Cairns intercede on our behalf, so I think it's time for us to take action. And I think that the best way to go on this is let the state, hear and take into considerations which they have in this letter, our concerns. But I think management wise, it's going to be a lot easier for the state to handle this project.
Okay. Any other board members who wish to comment?
I agree with both Deirdre and Gary.
Okay, thank you. Karen, anything to add? So I agree. I think ideally, if we had more time to try to put together a workable local control plan, I think I would like to have seen that, but it's no one's fault. I mean, there's a lot of work that would need to go in to even devising such a plan to determine whether it's feasible for the town to control the process. And given that the state wants a decision, and I think that we could be disadvantaged if we continue to delay a decision. And I agree with you, Deirdre, as to what the consensus was the last time. And I'm also, I am heartened a little by the fact that the state did quite quickly incorporate some of our concerns into this letter. So unless there are any other comments, and I don't see any hands up, I would entertain a motion on this matter. And there isn't one written in the agenda, but I could frame a motion if someone could maybe put the letter a little higher up. Yeah, let me stop it there. So I would move that the Wenham Select Board, through Steve, inform DCAM that the town wishes to dispose of 24 Cherry Street under DCAM's authority under the Affordable Homes Act. And Steve, I hesitate to end the motion there because I don't have in front of me whether there's a more precise wording that we ought to be.
I think what you said is good, and maybe just add utilizing the RFP approach to disposal, because the only other available option that the state presented to us with their total control was auction. So it was either an auction to the highest bidder, but the RFP allows you to specify exactly what you want to go there and make encouragements however you see fit to, help ensure that that's the type of development that goes there.
Okay. So I'm going to withdraw the partial motion I made a minute ago and instead make a motion that the Wenham Select Board direct the town administrator to inform DCAM that the town agrees with the recommendations set forth in DCAM's letter of July 30th, 2025, including that disposal of 24 Cherry Street be done pursuant to DCAM's authority under the Affordable Homes Act and through the RFP process, and taking into account the concerns of the town with respect to both affordable housing opportunities and the potential for historic restoration and coordination with the Massachusetts Historical Commission.
Gary seconds.
All right, we have a motion and a second. We'll take a roll call vote. Peter,
Yes.
Karen,
Yes.
Deirdre,
Yes.
Gary,
Yes.
and Ben is yes. Thank you, everybody. All right, next is item H.
All right, so this
Discussion. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead, Ben.
Discussion and potential vote to set a minimum bid for the Lakeview parcel identified as map 7, lot 53 on Pleasant Street, also referred to as Zero Lake Avenue and Fairview Avenue. Steve?
Yeah, just a reminder. So this is the parcel that the select board discussed at the last meeting. And we're moving forward as also as discussed with the auction process and the final piece of the puzzle. I believe Belinda is on the call tonight, but I believe the final piece of the puzzle that we need from the select board is to set a minimum bid amount to start. Traditionally, it's my understanding that communities usually start the bidding at the assessed value. So we've provided the record card in your packet for that value, but it's under your authority and discretion to set the value at any amount you want. We can pull up, Joe, can you or Michelle promote Belinda and see if she has anything to add?
Yes, I promoted her. She should be on shortly.
Thank you.
Did you ask me a question? Sorry, I was disconnected for a second.
No questions, Belinda. I just kind of updated the select board that, the question before them tonight is to set a minimum bid amount as kind of the final piece of the puzzle that we need from them to move forward with the auction process. And I also let them know that, generally it's been my experience that a lot of communities start at the assessed value. And at that point, I didn't know if you had anything else you wanted to add or update them on.
I only want to make sure that there's no other stipulations you want as part of the sale, as we would need to put those stipulations in the notice of sale too.
Gary?
Yeah, I would propose one stipulation that not only for this property, but any as we go forward, that if the property is purchased by an abutter, that the purchased property would have to be merged into the current abutter's ownership parcel so that we get the full advantage of taxation considerations up to the 40,000 square foot normal parcel size.
Okay, sounds like a smart idea. Any other members of the board who have a question or a comment?
Can we just go to what the assessed value is and can you put it up?
Yes. I don't know if Joe or Michelle, if you could put that up. Here we go. $26,400, is that right?
That's correct.
Okay. All right. Does anyone wish to make a motion to set the minimum bid for this property at $26,400?
I can do it, no one else. So I move that we set the minimum bid at $26,400 for the parcel in question.
Peter seconds. Thank you very much. We have a motion and a second. We'll take a roll call vote. Deirdre?
Yes.
Karen?
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
Gary?
Yes.
And Ben is yes. Thanks very much. All right. That moves us on to old business. Other matters as may have not been anticipated by the chair.
I'm sorry. Did you want to have that stipulation in about the parcel, being merged if it was bought by an abutter?
Thank you, Belinda. I appreciate you raising that because yes, we do. So, Gary, would you mind, since that was your idea, would you mind making that motion as well?
I move that the select board make a condition of sale of any property, be that it be merged in with the abutters current parcel.
Peter seconds.
Great, thank you. We have a motion and a second. We'll take a roll call vote. Karen,
Yes.
Gary,
Yes.
Peter,
Yes.
Deirdre,
Yes.
and Ben is yes. That's unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Belinda. Under old business, we have none. And I would entertain a motion to adjourn the open session of tonight's select board meeting, as well as a motion to enter executive session, not to return to open session.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Peter seconds.
Great, thank you. We'll take a roll call vote. Gary,
Yes.
Deirdre,
Yes.
Karen,
Yep. Yes.
Peter,
Yep.
and Ben is yes. Thank you. We're adjourned, and we will now move to executive session. Thank you to members of the public for attending tonight.